Uh, Good evening. Welcome to the December 3rd, 2025 meeting of the Town of Concord's Historic Districts Commission. The commission will review two new applications, two continued applications, and one item under other business. We are conducting this meeting online in accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. The public may access this call through both telephone and video conferencing. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on applications and discussions following the petitioner's presentation and questions from the commission. To comment, please raise your hand in the participant function of the Zoom meeting platform. If you are calling in and cannot use the platform, you may raise your hand by dialing *9. Our host will mute microphones of those not speaking, and in order to preserve bandwidth, may need to turn off video, with the exception of the commissioners, the host, and the current applicant. I will call on commissioners for comments on an application and then open the meeting for public comment. Once there are no more public comments, I will ask for a motion from the commission to continue, to approve with conditions, or to reject, seek a second motion, and conduct a roll call vote. Once the commission has acted on an application, the applicant is free to leave the meeting. And I will do a roll call for members. However, I can't, oh, here we are. Okay, I was gonna say I can't see all the members, but now I can. Tonight's voting members are Tim Whitney, Walter Clay, Kristen Dahlman, Louis Caldarella, and myself. And Associate Commissioner Dennis Fiore is also on the call, and as is Bill Hewitt, and I think that's it. So without further ado, let's see, we're going to start with the bank. Kim? Yeah. Is that right? We'll start with Eastern Bank to change the paint colors. Okay. All right, great. So is Jesse Mower going to be presenting?
I'm here. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh. Okay. Hi. Hello. Oh, there you are. Okay, great. Okay, so colors.
Sure. All right. So you have stuff. Do you need me to say anything? I've never attended one of these meetings before. Forgive me. I don't know the right protocol.
Oh, sure. Well, you could tell us what is there and what you're changing it to.
Sure. So currently, the building, when we took it over from Cambridge Trust, it's in disrepair. So we put in our budget to repair the building and then seek a change of color. Quite simply, Cambridge Trust, they were, more red. Eastern Bank's kind of blue and orange, and obviously orange is not where we want to go and not where we'd ask you to go. So as we're looking, we went to town hall. Forgive me if it's city hall, and is that me? I apologize.
I think it's me. Okay.
I think you may have had two devices on. So we looked at the book from City Hall, and we're looking at the blues because Eastern Bank is blue for that type of colonial revival and that kind of stuff from the year that it was from. We petitioned customers to kind of give us their view on what they think it should be, and then we also asked Inkstone Architects to lend their opinion, right? To try to make sure that what we're doing is in line with everyone's thoughts, right? It's we're also open to other. It's just a matter of this is what we're kind of looking at. One thing, yep. So these color combinations are goes from, you can't see the white down for some reason, but it's an off-white, it's a ivory, right? But again, from the historical books, and as we looked at the property, we're saying, well, there's a brick building facing the building, there's a brick building to the left, and a yellow building to the right. So, that's kind of where we landed, and of course, we'll take into consideration whatever this board, um, has an opinion on. But really, the state right now, because winter's approaching and we had a lot of deficiencies on the building, I did have to replace a lot of wood, and there's some primer up there now, and we're trying to get it looking good before the winter rather than, going through the whole season and not looking that good, right? So it's kind of what brings us here today, and I appreciate the time.
Okay, that was great. It was perfect. You're a natural. So let's see. So it's Van Cortlandt blue and white down is what you're looking at. Benjamin
Yep.
Moore colors.
Yep.
And all right. Does anyone on the commission have any comment? Questions?
What's it? Do you know something about the history of that building? Is it a house that was renovated into businesses, or was it built as you mentioned, colonial revival?
It's a colonial revival. The exact year, forgive me, I have 140 properties, right? So, but the exact year, I'm gonna say in the 1910s to 1930s. I somewhere I have the exact year, but it's made that. I don't know the history. From the looks of it, it doesn't look to me to be a house conversion. Like maybe it was always a since 1910, 1930, it was a business into the downtown district, right? Or sorry, the whatever district that I think was made to, right? It's a revival. It's kind of made to look like everything else probably at the time, or besides the brick, So the building itself, I don't think carries historical significance. I think it's more of it's in a layover district that is. Does that make sense? That's a really long way to say I have no idea.
And you did the bank before you didn't paint it that color. It's always been that color, right? Or as far as I remember.
That I wouldn't know. That I wouldn't know. I've looked up what records I could, but they're not deep, right? I know that the current color isn't in the book, but maybe the book was made after the color, right? So I just don't know.
Yeah. I, I would put on a list, and that we ought to go over that color chart. I think it's it's something that isn't I don't think it has the kind of value that it used to have, that we have these sort of chosen colors that you can pick. But anyway, that's an aside. Um, in my opinion, what you're putting on is perfectly fine. I happen to like it pink. I think it adds some charm and character to the town, and a kind of a quirkiness that I think is lovely. But I don't have a complaint about what you're choosing. My opinion.
Well,
Mhm.
full disclosure, I live in a purple house, so I don't know if my opinion
Aha!
should count.
I always assumed it was painted that color to blend in with the bricks next to it. But
I would make a similar assumption, right? Because it is kind of brick red, right?
I think it has been a children's store, right? In at least one part of it at one point. And I think that may have been where the pink came from.
Hmm. Kristen, do you have any issues with the color proposed?
I don't know. I've looked up and down the street, kind of trying to judge that, which buildings are painted, which are brick, which stand out more. I don't have a huge objection to the blue.
Mhm.
I think if it were a little softer spoken.
But you're wearing pink and sitting in a pink room?
Yeah, that's right. It actually matches the building.
That's not to say.
Yeah, I would also agree. The pink is charming. It's always been pink since I've lived down the road, right, almost across the street. But I couldn't possibly object to the color you've chosen as well. So,
At least it isn't Boothbay Gray, which everything else seems to be in town these days.
Exactly.
That was one of the options, and I was strongly against it.
Boothbay Fog or whatever it's called.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see if the members of the public have anything to say about Van Cortlandt Blue. Members of the public, feel free to comment on the proposed paint color for 75 Main Street. Okay, not this evening, I guess. So if we think we've contemplated this enough, could someone please make a motion?
I move that we accept the application for what's the address?
75 Main.
75 Main as submitted.
Thank you. A second?
a second.
Thanks, Louis. I'll go around for a vote. Kristen,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Walter,
Aye.
Louis,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. So, Mr. Mower, you have your approved paint colors. Thank you
I-
for coming before us.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening.
And
Thanks a
thank
lot.
you for going the orange.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night. Okay, so now, let's see, all right, to 32 Court Lane. Thank you for letting us pop the bank ahead of you. And is it Marsha McLean who is presenting or Courtney Dunk for 32 Court Lane?
It's Marshall McLean. Courtney is traveling this week and couldn't attend the hearing tonight, so I'm representing her.
Okay, thank you.
So Courtney purchased the property at 32 Court Lane this past summer, and is having some updates done to the interior. There's no work planned for the exterior other than adding a handrail to the rear steps, which is why we're here this evening. And for safety reasons, Courtney's would like to put in a handrail to match the one in the front. It's a wrought iron handrail railing on the 3 steps going up to the rear. Do we have some drawings of the application that we could show, or should I share my screen? I could just show you where it is.
I can share it if you like.
Yeah,
And
could you go
shot
to
them,
the
yeah.
site plan? If you want to go to the site plan. Yeah, so you can see Courtney's unit is 32 in the front, number 30 in the back, and the garage is in the far back. And so she'll be coming and going from the garage in the rear up the steps in the ice and the snow. And for safety reasons, she'd like to have a handrail. There's currently no handrail now. You could scroll down to the picture below this, please, of the steps. There it is. So that's the rear steps and landing and rear entry to the house. And the handrail will go on the right side and be bolted to the bottom tread and then attached to the round column at the top. And it matches one, and it's similar to that, but it matches one on the front of the house, which if you scroll down further, well, it's sideways. But anyway, there's one on the top left drawing. I don't know if you can zoom. There's a handrail that we will match for the one on the back, top left hand drawing there, right there. Yep. The handrail is in view of the sidewalk in the street. So it is in view from the public way. as you can see in that picture just up there on the bottom left. It can be seen down the driveway. Courtney has spoken with her neighbor, who's in number 30, and she doesn't have any objection to the handrail being put on the building. So we're seeking approval to install that.
And how long would it take? Do you have to have it custom made, or is it?
The
you know-
builder has a wrought iron person who will fabricate it.
Oh, so it can be installed.
Yes.
Probably before the winter would be nice.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. Let's see, does anyone have any questions about the rail or that'll be fastened to the column, anything like that?
Marshall, is that little terminus, is that a little lamb's tongue at the bottom detail that you're proposing?
No,
The little
that
bottom.
matches the front one. That
Yeah.
that's what's on the front. It has that little, yes.
Little turn down, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. No, I think this is needed and barely visible and absolutely appropriate.
Any other commissioners with questions, thoughts, comments?
Yeah, what Tim said.
No. All right. I know you said that she spoke to her neighbor, which is great. But I'll see if anyone in the public who might be tuning in has any questions. And Marshall, your own hand is raised, but that's been since the
Oh,
beginning.
I thought I didn't know if you knew that I was.
There you
I guess I have to lower it, huh?
So,
Okay,
Okay.
sorry.
all right. So you didn't have a question as a member.
No,
of the-
I
Good.
did that at the beginning. I didn't know if you
Okay.
knew this.
Um,
Courtney wasn't going to be here.
All right. Okay. Thanks. All right. Then I think we can go back to the commission and ask for a motion.
I move we approve 330 Lowell Road, no, sorry, the wrong one, 32 Court Lane as submitted.
Second. Thanks, Louis. All right. I'll go around for a vote. Kristen,
Aye.
Walter,
I,
Tim,
Aye.
Louis,
I
and I'm an I. So thank you, Marshall. Courtney's got her handrail.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for all the pictures. Helpful.
Good night.
Good night. All right. Moving on to the McBrides. 330 Lowell Road to replace some barn cedar roof shingles with asphalt shingles. And who's doing that? There's Robert. Hi, I know Lucy. Are you going to be presenting tonight?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Well, take it away, please.
Well, thank you. I'm Robert McBride, 330 Lowell Road. And I'm here this evening to request permission to replace an approximately 20-year-old cedar roof. It's actually less than that, with an asphalt roof using a color from Certainteed, their high-def pewter wood, which I have submitted and am happy to show you a side-by-side comparison if you'd like me to share my screen or if Kim just wants to put up what I sent.
I'm happy to put it up. Just 1 second.
Okay, thanks.
The existing roof. Oops.
Yeah, that's actually a neighbor's house.
Oh, okay.
They would with their new roof, which is similar.
And then
Yeah, there should be in there. That's a rendering using Certainteed's online little toy, which would show the roof in the pewter wood. That color, as it happens, is very close to the color that the roof is now when it's wet. Is sort of the similar. We looked at a number of different colors, but basically that one we thought in that style shingle looked sort of most like the existing, but provided the benefits of significantly longer life, a much better warranty, and 1/3 the cost. And overall looked to be a much better replacement for this roof.
Another mock-up, right?
Right.
Anything else you'd like to show?
No, pretty
Oh,
straightforward.
56.
Yeah, that's just the details of the particular installation for the roof.
And sorry, Robert, what brand is this?
It is Certainteed
Oh,
Landmark.
it's Certainteed. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for all those photos. And did we see the spec sheet of an individual shingle? Does there happen to be one?
There is, I believe, in that very long instruction manual that was.
Oh, that we saw the first page of.
Right.
I don't know if anyone, yeah, usually it helps to see one of those.
Like those are, yeah, those are all sort of the drawing type. Are you looking for a picture type of a close-up of a shingle?
Yeah, and what did they say? What's the color name?
The color name is pewterwood.
Pewterwood. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Oh boy. No, that's good, Anne, I think. I mean, unless one of the other commissioners wants to see more detail. All right. Commissioners, any
Do we
questions?
do we know what the original roof was when the barn was built?
No idea. I would admit, I don't know.
We know it wasn't asphalt though, probably.
Probably.
That's-
Cedar.
Pretty good guess.
So slate or
It was a cow barn.
cow barn.
No
Wait,
human.
like, Are those architectural shingles?
Yes, they are.
Any other questions or thoughts, concerns?
You know, I'd be a little concerned that we're going backwards to kind of go to something that's not historical when we could keep something the same. But
That's really the question is there an inherent value in keeping it cedar if it has historically been cedar, at least for a while, rather than going to asphalt? But there are
I
other
understand
other
the
instances.
longevity of it.
What's that?
I understand the longevity of a cedar roof. And
As being compromised.
yeah,
The times they are changing.
Well, also cedar, having had to re-roof a house recently myself, is not the easily accessible material that it was even 5 years ago.
The cost of the product has
Exponential.
gone up exponentially. And truthfully, the life, it's our roof, I believe was installed in 2008, maybe 2007. And it's sawdust in places. It's just not survived well, or maybe it was installation, I don't know. So I just really am having a really hard time thinking of putting that up at 6 digits to replace that roof with something that we didn't get 20 years out of. It just seems a bit foolish.
I did look up the pewter gray or pewter wood. It's a pretty uniform, slightly blue, but darkish gray. Which I think looks good, for an asphalt shingle. I mean, that's what we're putting in our house, and we're in a historic district. So I think I've always viewed this house, there's a little bit of sort of modernist part to it. And I think there are some pieces that are old, but I don't have any problem changing it to asphalt shingle roof. That's my opinion. And we certainly allow that.
Would the cow farmer have gone for asphalt 100 years ago if that was an option? Probably.
I think a hard yes.
I'd say. Well, we have, to ramble, we have approved asphalt shingles recently in other, obviously, places in the district. So,
And can you allow me to share?
Yes, go right ahead.
I just want to show.
Oh, sorry. Here you go.
You see that?
Not yet.
yeah,
That's the color,
yes.
which is, it's pretty close to the rendering. I was just checking to be sure it was. So, it's just abstract gray, dark gray, which I think, given the dark siding, is the right choice. Assuming we approve this. So anyway, that was it.
We looked at black and as you might expect, the darker the color, the less reveal you see. So it actually loses some of even that cedar shake to it by getting darker. So we thought the color actually brought out a little more depth in the roof.
Well, if I may, the question for me is there any overriding reason to keep this particular building with a cedar roof rather than going to asphalt, as we have approved for other instances? Something that's incredibly historic about that particular roof on that particular barn.
I mean, I think as we said earlier, since it had been a cow barn and, it does have, as Tim said, almost those kind of more modern, clean lines to it. I think in either of those poles, there's room for, asphalt shingles. For sure.
How about, I move we approve the application.
Look at you.
You need to ask for public comment.
I do.
Yes.
Members of the public, would anyone care to ask a question about the asphalt shingles for 330 Lowell Road? I don't see any raised hands. Okay, so we can go right back to Walter. Who's
What?
ready.
What?
Here's your start. Yeah.
I move that we approve the application for 330 Lowell Road as submitted.
Second.
Second.
Thanks, Tim. Kristen.
Aye.
Tim.
Aye.
Walter.
Aye.
Lewis.
Aye.
And I am an aye. So McBride's shingle away. Having just done this myself, I found the biggest hurdle was just, committing to having asphalt shingles, and then I never noticed it again.
That's what we've been told.
Yep.
So thank you very much. I appreciate it and hope you all have a great evening.
Sure. Good luck. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay. And now let's see. And is 360 Main next for continued hearings? Or is it the town?
By agenda 363 is first.
Well, I'm not sure. Sometimes we move the town ahead.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can do what you like. I'm sure Mimi would appreciate that, but the homeowner
Yeah,
might
yeah, I
not.
think
So
Mimi got
Um,
difficult.
Will, is that
it depends on how long we take. I have a hard stop at 8. Um,
I'm in no rush, so go ahead and
okay? All right. Well, that's great. Thank you both for speaking up. Okay, we'll
Mimi, thank you.
yeah, no, that's both good to know. Thank you.
I have a
Okay.
child I need to go pick up, so thanks so much.
Okay. All right. So 363 Main Street, where there was a site visit this morning, that Walter, Dennis, Tim, Lewis, and myself were able to attend and meet Will and his architect Kevin. Is Kevin on the call tonight? Will or
Kevin's not able to make it.
okay. So this is that lovely carriage house. And we are talking about windows and adding a carport for the commissioners who weren't able to go this morning. But I think the others, Bill, I think you were on that last meeting when this came up, so you'll recognize all of this too.
Yes, I was. Kate, I don't know if you can see it, but I just shared the document we looked at this morning in case it's helpful for anybody.
Okay, yeah, good.
And don't we have some additional information about a fire?
About a what?
That there was a fire at
Yes, sorry. Will, late in the day, I did a little bit of research and found some blueprints from the 1960s in the building department files that indicated that there was a fire. So I don't know if you want me to show that, if you're if you're comfortable with that.
Oh, of course. No, I'm very curious because I went to the library myself. I did not find that. You're a better researcher than I am, but there are charred remains in 2 or 3 different spots on the inside, and I've always wondered about it. So I'm curious.
Good. Well, do you want to start with your presentation, then we'll get to the fire, or how would you like to?
Well, look, out of respect for everybody, you've all had a long day. I know because I saw you early. I don't have anything to present. Um, I because I think everybody's very familiar with the open question. So I really leave it to you.
Okay, so well, some people weren't at the meeting this morning, so you might just want to show how you
Fair
did
enough.
address the HDC concerns and provided 3 different options for the carport. And then there was also that the new amendment for a dormer in the back that would be just barely visible from the street. And
Yes.
I think the commission members saw that this morning, that it's really very minimal.
And I can really quickly run through all 3 of those things for anybody who wasn't there. And then if the commission would just tell me where I should go deeper, I'll do that. But I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Um, Starting, let's see, in the upper right of this, there's the best view that shows 3 of the 4 topics. The first is that above the garage door is what we've all been calling a hayloft set of doors. You can also see it on the 2 images in the middle of the page at the bottom. Those are hayloft doors that remain closed today, and that we wish to replace with a window that would bring light into the upstairs of this space because we want to make the interior space more usable. We proposed casement windows, which are shown on the left of the 2 images, in the middle there toward the bottom. And we also have proposed an alternative, which is to keep those shutters in place, but to rehinge them so that they would swing out, and we would then have a window on the interior. We have a preference for the original proposal, but had good discussion about Plan B and are open to that if that must be. That was thing 1.
thing too is the replacement. Again, going to the upper right-hand corner, you've got windows on either side of the garage door. We have asked to replace them. I think the right terminology is in kind, with new windows that would mimic the design of the current ones. There was a concern that these might be historic windows. I think after all looking at them this morning, it was agreed that at least the glass is clearly not historic. The frame's questionable. And then there also was another question raised about the actual the panes in the window and how one of you who does this could say this better than me, but the way the glass is today, which is not historic, does not match or mimic the way the glass on the windows in the main house are done, which is they're, I think, described as 2/2. And there may be an option in replacing these to actually bring them back to that, which I'd actually be thrilled to do. I think that would look better. So that was an interesting idea that came out of this morning. And then the third thing is the addition of this kind of shed roof to the left-hand side, which would create a parking spot for a car. And we created three, after the commission's feedback last time, we created three different treatments of that. The regional one being on the top right, and then two alternatives, a flat roof and a more gently sloping roof being the next two alternatives on the right-hand side. The final thing, which Ann referenced, was that our design for this building, as we make the interior more usable, is to have a dormer off the back of the building. That's best shown in the picture on the lower left, the little black stick drawing there. The dormer, we put a frame up, a temporary frame to show where the leading edge of that dormer would be, the most visible corner of that dormer would be, and everybody had an opportunity to look at that this morning. It is visible from kind of halfway out the driveway, not really from the street. I mean, there may be an angle from which you can see it, but barely, and certainly not when there are any leaves on trees or anything like that. But we wanted everybody to see what we had intended for the positioning of the dormer so that they could get comfortable. That was the fourth thing. I think I've summarized them all.
Excellent. Yes, thank you for doing that for Kristen and Bill. And recapping it all from this morning for the rest of us. So windows are not one of my strengths. So I'm going to lean a little bit more on the window mavens. But you know, we've reviewed this a few times, and so what does the commission have to say about some of the revisions that have been suggested?
Kate, there is new information that I think we should hear.
Sorry?
Oh, about the fire?
Yeah, there's new information from Ann's research.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, I'll just give me a second while I bring up the screen. Can you see this now?
Yes.
Looks like
So
that paper was on fire.
Right. I know it's not very not very clear. But this dates to 1965 and it was in the building department files. So it does talk about remove fire damaged cupola and mansard roof. And so it shows the cupola with the spire here and
oh, look at that
mansard roof that was there. So it also does, it says save face of dormer. As I mentioned, it shows sort of very detailed windows and you know, details here, and the corbels are all detailed. But when it comes to the hayloft door, it's just a blank, and that goes the same for the you know, carriage barn door too. So I'm not sure what that's actually telling you, but that may have been destroyed in the fire. And I'm happy
Well,
to send this to the
that tower up top is it's kind of cool looking actually.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
Indeed.
that was just fun.
Yeah.
And you might be interested.
It looks like the window details are pretty much what are there now.
On the first
with
floor?
yeah, on the first floor.
Yeah, I'm
I
of the
mean,
opinion the windows are original. I don't think I'm not in favor of replacing them. And I think this whole thing about wavy glass I don't buy, particularly in a building that late. And I think I've said that earlier. I've seen buildings from this period with non-wavy glass and much bigger panels than this. And even if the glass is replaced, I think the frames are original. So I wouldn't be in favor of replacing these windows.
How do you feel about the with the newer information about the hayloft window?
I think either you put the window in or you don't. I don't. The idea of these opening shutters is kind of corny, and it changes the whole look of it. It just doesn't make sense, and they're never going to be shut. So and I don't have a problem with replacing it with a window. I should bite my tongue because it's changing original material, but I don't. I'm assuming you show it in a natural wood frame. I'm assuming you're going to paint that frame white, correct?
Correct.
Okay, it's not going to be natural wood. I would just make sure, and I think Lewis has stated this, that panel, he would like it if they just replaced the panels with glass, but I think the look ought to be that same way, so that it looks as close as possible to the door. Just the inner panels are missing. Anyway, those are my opinions.
Wait, so where do you differ from Lewis?
Oh no, we were talking about there's a thickness to the
Oh,
existing frame,
the face, yeah.
which the replacement is going to be thinner.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I mean, knowing that it might be a completely replaced window, a hayloft door now sort of changes my whole opinion about it.
well, those doors are set back to swing in,
Right.
Will, I think, right?
That's correct.
And I agree with Dennis on I've gone back and forth on these doors, but I agree that to force them to stay open when that was never really how they were designed in the first place, probably. But yeah, so my comment, I guess, on it, I like the idea of just going to the window, but having it, Will, I would think you'd be able to set it more or less in the same plane as the current doors, so it's set in with that shadow line, right?
Yep.
In fairness to the app, oh, sorry, Tim, keep going. Sorry.
And I guess I have mixed feelings on the replacement of the windows because I don't think new glass is going to be a heck of a lot. It's not going to look much different from the glass that's there now, which is quite flat glass. Whether it's newer glass, 60s glass, who knows? I do agree with Dennis that the frames are probably original, but are we trying to preserve what is possibly 60s glass or whatever that fire was? And then I wanted to couple that with Walter. I were looking at this possibility that there was a center mullion, vertical mullion. It looks like it got cut out. There's these little notches in the frame that, we're guessing here, right? So we don't know. But the house does a 2 over 2, and I spoke about this with Will. Just like this is something that Walter and I observed, and so whether it'd be better to be a 2 over 2 or just leave it as a 1 over 1, I think that's up for debate. I personally would agree with Will that it looks better. It would look better and more in keeping with the house as a 2 over 2 and not having these large sheets of glass. But that's a guess that's how it was in the first place, and I don't know. We'll probably never know on a bunch of these things given the fire. I'm going to just ramble on here for just a bit more. I think the dormer is almost invisible. I have no issues with that. It's de minimis. I do have concerns about the carport, and I want to hold on those comments and come back to those. Maybe we could just focus on windows in dormer for now, and then maybe talk about the carport at the end.
I'm curious about the 2/2 window thing. If indeed they took out a center piece, they would be 2x2 side by side, and so they would be
Correct.
long, thin, and
Which is what the house, which is what the
That matches the
house
house.
is.
and it doesn't really match the house. If you take a look, if those windows are thinned down with an upright in them, you'd have these little skinny panels going up on either
Yeah,
side,
it's
and
a
it
different,
doesn't
it's a different
match the
proportion.
house at all.
Yeah. It is a different proportion in the main house, but you're wider. You're right, Dennis. So
And I think they went to the single because at least it gives the same proportion, even if it isn't exactly the same look.
But there are different proportioned windows on the house as well.
Oh yeah,
From one to another.
they're wider.
yeah.
No, so there's a variety of proportion in the windows on the house, is there not?
If
There
you
is.
take a look at them, they all sort of conform to a certain equation of the way the windows are set up. None are 1.5 feet wide. None are in that sort of vein. But you're right, there are a variety of windows on the house.
Well, yeah, I don't know without having paid more attention and tried to sort of visually measure that. I'm not confident saying that one or the other position is correct.
I tend to agree with Dennis that I think the first floor windows, the proportions in the frames are fitting for the structure, and I don't see need for their removal or their replacement. The hayloft window, I think what is being proposed is good, particularly if it's going to be painted white, which we're not seeing in the proposed thing, but we know that's what they'll do. I did also want to mention, in fairness to the applicant, the second option that Will mentioned of keeping the doors and opening them out, that was from some feedback that got bandied around in the last meeting by commissioners. So that's where that came from. And the shed dormer, I think we all have agreed, is pretty innocuous.
Is the shed dormer visible from any public way? Is the railroad a public way?
The railroad is a public way.
So, and is that visible from? I'm not saying that it's a deal breaker, but
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. We do, I mean, the railroad is a public way, just like in other areas, the river is a public way.
Yeah. So we're blissfully going along saying, oh, you can't see it from the public way, but it's just taking.
No, I mean, it's in the application. That's why it's in the application.
Yeah.
'Cause it's in the
Yeah,
public.
I understand.
We're just not debating it.
I'm just saying, crossing
Yeah,
it.
no. And let's see, I'm keeping an eye on, we have Will for 9 minutes.
Thank you, Kate.
But so let's move on to the carport, which is
Kate,
sort of
Kate-
dancing around. I'm not saying we're done. but-
Sorry, Kate, before you do, could I just quickly come back to the two windows?
Mhm.
It seems like the best guess we have is that glass may have existed there since the 60s. Somebody mentioned this morning that it's unlikely that was original glass because it was very unlikely that they'd make a pane of glass that big for a window back in the 1870s. I don't know whether that's true or not, but that comment was made. And so I just wonder, like, what are we solving for in that? What I'm solving for is usability and a structure that we want to start to use, which means we're going to heat it in the winter. And I'd like to have windows that actually keep the heat in. I think I can do that and have it look exactly the same from any public way. Nobody will ever be any the wiser. So what really are we solving for? If it's not how it looks to the public, are we solving for actually like maintaining the same wood that was used in the 18th? Like, I'm just confused by that.
Well, we're going by the Department of Interior's regulations on saving historic windows, and if you look at our guidelines state clearly that we should save historic windows. and it isn't that's part of our mandate. So
Yeah.
it isn't the aesthetics so much as preserving original material.
Will, it's Bill Hewitt. I think I mentioned last time that I restored a house in Concord with windows almost exactly the same age as we guess your house is, with original frames. And the restoration makes those windows, albeit with exterior storms, terrifically tight. Restoration of wooden frames of that era is not particularly onerous financially, and ends up creating a quite airtight product.
And
Well, thank.
if I may
that's
just
okay.
add to this, I have windows in my house where we had interior storms made. They're custom, again, not an onerous price on them, and they are both acoustically tight and thermally tight. It's a pretty amazing transformation and change. You can't tell they're there. Just saying. So
Okay.
So that's windows are one of these sticking points on pretty much every historical commission. For terms of proportion, depth. I mean, you many times you can tell new windows. I mean, from original ones, at least if you know what you're looking for or whatever. But
Okay.
let's touch on the carport while we have you. And there's the again at the last meeting, we had said that we thought that the pitch of the one initially proposed to some, I think Kristen had said, sort of had a mid-century modern degree to it. So you and Kevin came back with about the kind of a flatter pavilion type roof, just flat. And then the third one, the reduced roof pitch, which is kind of a gentler slope. So commissioners, thoughts on that?
I'm going to say two things. One, I have thoughts about the carport, which is I still think it should be flat roofed and detached, or at least pitched to the back, rather than being appended to the building, because I think it really disrupts, to my eye, historically, it really disrupts the flow of the facade of that building. And I don't think, as it was established in the last meeting, that there's any compelling reason about the weather to attach it to that building. There's no access in on that side. So it's just, I think, to be harsh, putting a wart on the side of that building. But the other thing I would say, if we have 4 minutes here, Will, are you opposed to continuing this discussion to another meeting rather than having us rush through this? And I'm using up time here.
There's nothing like of great urgency about the carport.
Well, not just the carport, but in general.
Can we split the application if we need to vote on?
Yeah, please. It would be very helpful to have as many decisions as possible.
I mean, I guess we can do that because we can make a motion if necessary. If commissioners feel that they're there. I
think the biggest sticking point is going to be the carport, probably.
Right.
Yeah. My sense is that the hayloft door can be turned into a window. The question how thick the trim is around it. But I'm in favor of having a window there. I think it makes an awful lot more sense than opening up the doors sideways. I believe strongly that the original window frames can be saved and should be saved. There can be internal storms or external storms, and they can be reglazed. They can be 2/2 or straight up. I don't have a strong commitment either way. I think the 2/2 is probably aesthetically better, and that's me on the record.
Okay, let me interject for a second. Anne, are we, or Dennis, do you remember this? Are we able to peel off the carport and give that a continuation?
We've done this in the past, right?
Yes,
Right?
yes, you have.
Yeah, we can do this.
And that's in the motion, right? I mean, that's sort of how we do it. All right, so back to the windows. If we're preparing for a vote, let me open it to public comment. Any public comment on the windows of the carriage house at 363 Main Street? Okay, appears not.
Walter was talking about 2/2, but there's a split.
Yeah,
There's
that's
different thinking on the 1/1 versus 2/2, and I think we need
Yeah,
to
I think-
resolve that.
I think 2/2 might be a little bit too disproportionate.
And after listening to Dennis, I and Kate and you, and I think we should work towards a 1/1 because that's the best guess of what these are, and they will become quite narrow.
Yeah.
Different
I'm
proportion.
fine with that if I'm the odd one out.
Okay.
All right, then let's try for a motion. If you know, sometimes it's a shaggy process.
And sorry, I think you should include the dormer in the motion. I think the homeowner is eager to get moving on the
Yeah.
dormer.
It's just well, the window and the arch, is there any casing that's going to go in there, or is it just the frame of the window and the sash of the window that we're seeing that's colored natural wood here that'll be painted? You know what I'm saying?
Casing means
Well,
sorry,
I mean,
Tim.
there's no trim like that. We want those windows to appear as big as the doors, kind of,
Correct.
as big as they can and not be shrunk down by additional
Correct.
casings or trim around the window, so they get smaller. And it's hard to tell looking at this drawing. Do you know what the
The
designer was intending?
Well, the image as shown there is the intention. I think we share what you're saying. I'm not sure
Maybe
what
I'll
that means.
just I'll make a motion with that in mind. It's
Okay.
just try. So I move that we approve partial submission of this as follows: approval of the dormer in the rear, retaining the existing 4 windows on the front, with the applicant can either apply interior storms, or I think he's going to have to come back for approval on exterior storms, correct?
Okay.
And then an approval of the window with to fully fill the void of the hayloft doors, and remove the doors, and the window will be painted to match the 2 casement arched windows will be painted to match the trim set back in the same plane as the doors currently are now,
As depicted in option 1.
as shown in option 1, yeah, preferred option.
I would second that.
Okay.
And Tim, you're okay with the dormer windows being essentially 2/2?
1/1. Oh, which dormers?
The shed dormer, the
Yeah.
proposed new dormer.
Yeah, I'm not, and just, yeah.
That wouldn't be visible.
I mean, it's visible technically from the road right away,
That's
but
true, railroad.
Yeah.
Or do you want to add the dormer, Walter, if you're uncomfortable, do you want to add the dormer with the carport? And-
Oh, I'm okay with the dormer. I'm just amused that we're looking at
No,
one
it's
on the front and
Totally
4
not.
on the back.
Well, I'll find I'll find out when I take a vote.
you can't see out MBTA trains windows anyway.
Right. Yeah. No,
Okay,
it's
so-
it's past 8 o'clock.
that,
It's
I
not
know.
worth
That's
talking
the
about.
motion and the second. I'll go around for a vote. Lewis,
Aye.
Kristen,
Aye.
Tim,
I
Walter,
Aye.
and I'm an aye for the motion put forth. So that's
With a
the
continuance of the carport.
with the continuance of the carport.
do we want to? I don't know what Will's time is. Will gone?
I am still here, but I do need to go.
Okay,
I'm
I was just
sorry.
we could pass on comments on, just got comments, so at least you know where we might be headed on the carport or just wait. So if you need to
But
leave,
I tell you what I could do. I need to get in the car. I could get on the phone and at least participate that way if that would be helpful.
we'll just
But
give you
Yeah, I mean,
feedback of
it would probably be
concerns.
helpful to you. It's because there's
Yeah.
seems to be, yeah,
why don't I do that?
okay.
You all continue the conversation. I'll rejoin in about a minute from my phone.
Okay.
And thanks everybody.
Okay.
And thanks for accommodating my timing. I appreciate it.
Okay. Sure.
Fine.
So, Walter, with you saying that and you're not alone, are not comfortable with the visual of the carport being attached to the carriage house, and why does it have to be is a good question, right? Because it's not like there's an entrance.
There's no door. The reason to attach the carport would be, in my opinion, either A, to avoid the cost of having to support it on both sides, or B, to allow weather independent access into that building, but still puts you into that building. But there's no door, and there are just windows on that side, so that doesn't work for me. I would stand it off. I would stand it off either a foot or 2 feet. There's room to do that, and then it would not be, to my eye, compromising that building.
The other thing is those windows there are making that roof crazy high.
Yeah.
The carport roof is 5 feet higher or 4 feet higher than it needs to be. It's way up above the existing windows on that side. They're putting the roof up on all these options up above those lovely side windows. So there's no good place to attach a roof there, and on top of the concerns of it still looks like a carport. So I don't know. We're talking here without Will being on the phone, so
Right. I think we should wait.
we should wait.
Do we slip Mimi in while he's
Yeah, maybe we should.
Instead of
Heard any good jokes?
It's 8:05 and 35 seconds. We'll give him. So 8:06 and 35 seconds. Keep an eye on it. But I was just regardless of Will being here or not, because also Louis, that was something that you sort of queried this morning. Like, can you just sort of decontextualize the structure and just make it separate? I mean,
Bill was lobbying for that last time. I think that's especially with the window problem. If it was a pergola structure, separated, dark colored, set even back. If it's disconnected, then it doesn't have to line up. It could be slid back.
Yeah. They also wanted to make cars disappear, but that's not even going to achieve that goal.
Well, the way to do that is to put the carport behind the building, and there's space to do that too. It becomes a little bit more of a challenge for drivers.
It's really tight.
There's one other thing to consider here too, and I probably should wait for Will, but I won't. Which is the number of cars, and having a carport here is being driven, if you'll pardon the pun, by having 2 kids who are going to be driving. So how long are they going to be in the household? So we're looking at
that's not our business.
I know. That's what I said, but yeah, never mind. Okay. Yeah.
Nope.
So I'll shut up.
Oh. All right, wait. Well, the 8:06:35 has passed.
How long will we
all right, let's move on, because we did make a motion. So let's
move on, and if he comes back, he'll just have to wait.
He can, yeah. So let's move on to Mimi.
Do we need to vote on a continuance?
I think that was that not part of the motion, Tim?
Well, we were having a discussion about carport.
We didn't vote on we didn't vote on. Oh no, we didn't on the continuance. No.
Right.
Oh, all right.
We're discussing.
Well, why don't we wait? If he comes back, then we can vote
Okay.
if he comes back.
We can always vote on it at the end. Okay. Sorry, Mimi. Thank you. For coming back, for being patient, for looking into these benches.
Sure. So folks will remember, actually, if I can do a screen share, I can refresh where we're at.
Yes, I think fortunately we were all at the last meeting as well, so we should all.
Great. So folks will remember this is for the bench in front of the visitor center. So you can see on this little section here, you can see that is the Keyes Road parking lot, and there's a tiny little sliver of town-owned land, which is where this bench is, that connects the Keyes Road just parallel to that driveway and to Main Street. And currently there is a bench in disrepair that, from my research, it looked like it was somebody who was a long time tour guide and local historian who passed away several years ago. Sounds like about 20 years ago or so, he had originally donated this bench, but all of the family members have since passed on. And it's visible from the kind of town-owned walkway here, but from Main Street and from behind, it's not visible. So for my purposes, I'm sort of looking at how to address this broken bench, how to make it more handicapped accessible, so that somebody in a walker or with other mobility aid could get near the bench, and then someone who was in a wheelchair could be able to sit next to somebody on the bench outside of the walkway here. So in the last iteration, I had talked about that there's a donor whose mother was actually the person who had provided the original funding or key funding to build the visitor center. She recently passed away, and her daughter is wanting to do something to honor her mom. And the idea was to provide the funds to address this broken bench as a way of being able to look at the visitor center. So the donation is $3,000, which is sufficient to address the broken bench. So my proposal was to, originally in our last conversation, folks had been concerned about wanting to kind of keep the mulch, and it said that they didn't like the Victorian style, and there was some concern about actually replacing the bench as opposed to maintaining it. So I did a bunch of research looking at the could we do some kind of granite? From my interest, I'm sort of looking at how to be able to address the accessibility issues. So my original proposal had been to do a concrete pad, and folks had talked about doing some kind of granite underneath. So I went and had that priced out, and it's really cost prohibitive to match the granite that's already this like some 2x5 granite slabs under the portico. Just for being under one bench was going to cost $6,500. And then I even looked at some smaller size granite, which was going to get me down best case scenario to $4,500, which is kind of even beyond the cost of the bench. And then I did a little research about the accessibility issues. I think it comes up. And I discovered that having public benches be ADA accessible is not legally required, but there's a lot of best practices, including ones that are standards for some of the national parks. And from those circumstances, it's really about having a hardscape next to the bench so that people are able to sit side by side. There's been some interior conversations about how to, what might be the way to go. From my purposes, I've been sort of looking at how to address the accessibility issues, which is really about having that hardscape surface. So talking to Public Works, the kind of proposal is really to make it a concrete pad, recognizing that we've got the priority about being fiscally responsible. The donor's interest is having a bench that would kind of stand this test of time. So if it was just a wooden bench that was set in mulch, it doesn't meet either her interests of a bench that's going to last a long time or the town's interest of having an accessible bench. So talking with Public Works, they said they'd be able to fix the existing bench and rehab it. And then the donor would be able to provide a second bench. So we could have two benches, fixing the broken one on a concrete pad with 3 feet in between, 36 inches, that fits that ADA accessible interest of having a hardscape that kind of minimizes it. So it'd be a bench, a spot for a wheelchair, and then another bench that kind of allows that person in a chair to be able to talk to folks on either side. So I recognize it doesn't necessarily kind of meet the HDC's interest of like the minimizing the hardscape or changing the style of the bench. But I am aware of like there's other benches. This isn't the only Victorian style bench that we've got in Concord Center. There's a bunch in front of the Colonial Inn. And that's a style that actually will, the last one has lasted 20 years. So the idea is to really have something kind of a legacy gift. So I'm kind of presenting kind of very close to what I presented last time, but with some additional information.
Okay, thanks so much for filling in all those blanks, Mimi, and letting us know where you're coming from in great detail. So let's see. There'll be a pair of the benches now, right?
Yeah, so we'll rehab the
Or
original bench and
Yeah,
then a second bench that would be from the new donor.
okay. I mean, perhaps that might actually mitigate sort of the seeming randomness of the Victorian bench, like, doubling down and saying, we know this is here. Any questions or concerns from the commission? Or
What's the cost of rehabbing the current bench?
Public Works basically will incorporate it with their existing staff. I think there hasn't been a willingness to take that on if it was going to just be kind of sinking in the mulch. That the funding for the new bench would cover the cost of the donor funds would pay for the pad and a new bench, and that can then address the underlying issue about rehabbing a bench that.
I'm wondering. It occurred to me that instead of buying a second bench with the funds, could that be dedicated instead to a maintenance fund for that bench, which would perpetuity it in a way that the last donation didn't, take the plaque off it and turf the bench, or possibly instead of doing 2 benches in order to soak up the available funds, would it not make more sense to figure out a way to keep the maintenance going as a tribute? Just a thought.
Yeah, the donor is I think there's some sensitivity of like putting a bench, their name on a bench of an existing bench that's not in great shape and like paying for a concrete pad and a rehab versus like per bench. So I feel like I've kind of massaged this to the best of my ability, but I am trying to.
I'm not the one having the discussion, so I understand. That's fine.
Yeah, I am sort of looking at, because I'm doing benches in West Concord, is how to create a little bit of a slush fund that will be available to do these kind of beautification and kind of maintenance things. I feel like that's been a missing piece up to now, and I'm cognizant of that.
Yeah.
I'd be concerned about so much concrete. So basically, you'd have concrete under 2 benches and concrete in between the 2 benches. I wonder if it's possible to do some sort of submerged concrete underneath the 2 benches that's covered with mulch so it's not sinking into the ground, and have one smaller concrete slab for the wheelchair in between the 2. So it would be ADA compliant. It would cut down on hardscaping, and it would also prevent the benches from sinking into the earth.
I think there'd be a little bit of an issue if it's just mulch, like concrete on top of mulch, or mulch on top of concrete, in terms of just it becomes a muddy mess.
Yeah.
And then it's also just people with mobility aids that need to be able to kind of get their walker and their canes or whatever. And you probably know of like sometimes just with feet underneath, it just becomes very inconsistent if you've got. I think it might cause more, be less attractive than than even the concrete.
I guess I share a concern about having 60 square feet of concrete pad. And is it possible to put brick down? It's probably
Did you see
cheaper
the
than
picture
granite.
I sent along of the bench on the other side of the bank. Did you see that picture?
Yeah, well, I put the bench over on that side.
Yeah, and
Um,
that is brick. It's trimmed with granite, but it doesn't have to be. And I think Bill's right. That bench is on bricks.
So I'm relying on the quotes I got from basically Public Works said that they can do concrete.
I,
Go
I,
ahead.
I I understand they can do concrete. We want 60 square feet of concrete there,
It's easy.
as opposed to brick, which will certainly, I can't price it, but it certainly won't be as expensive as granite.
No, nowhere near as expensive as granite. Yeah. Going back to the bench, if she's having the bench restored and it's going to be in kind, looking like it is now, then there's no question about whether we have a new bench or not, because we allow that to be done, correct?
Her gift is for a new bench, not to
Well,
restore the bench.
yeah, that's fine. That's another question. But the question of the bench that is there is now that I'm questioning the style of, if you're just going to get it repaired and it's going to come back exactly as it was, then we allow that. So that, that's a moot point as far as as far as the current bench goes. Am I correct in that, Anne?
Right. The HDC doesn't oversee maintenance as long as it's maintenance in kind.
Right. So
Putting
you
in a
can
pad is
keep
different.
the bench if it gets maintained.
Right. A pad is different.
The pad is different.
Mhm.
Right. And then we have the second bench, and
I went over and looked at the visitor center, that area, and the visitor center under the porch has two wood benches, very nice wood benches. I assume they're there year round. I don't know, but they're right there within 10 feet of this Victorian bench. And the Victorian bench looks oddly the existing one just looks out of place relative to these very nice wood benches under the portico. So I know you're struggling with all this stuff, Mimi. I hear you. I guess I'm sort of I'd be arguing for putting your marbles in one bench with a nicer pad than stretching out two bench, just making the problem bigger by fixing that bench. I know they're offering it for free, I guess, but you have to pay for that base of concrete under that thing. And wouldn't we want all those benches? Literally, it's 10 feet away. There's two nice wood benches that are right there. They're all sitting there.
Those wooden benches aren't there all the time. They just happen to be there for protection for the
permanent?
weather. They're not permanent.
Okay, it's too bad.
Good idea, though, Tim.
But I mean, I suppose there is a longevity thing, but the Victorian benches have wood slats that deteriorate just like wood benches. It's like they're wood benches no matter how you slice it. And there have been all these wood benches added that I think we went through here as a group reviewing those benches and selecting a style, and they feel more appropriate to me just to have a wood bench, even if it's on. I'd be more concerned about the bench than the concrete pad myself, because I know the town has budget issues. So. Kate, your charge is to bring us all back together to help
Did you
me.
just hear my audible sigh? I was like, okay.
I can see the look on your face.
And I'm about to pass out from jet lag, can I just say? But I mean, I'm sure you all do too. I really see where Mimi's coming from. I mean, the town only has so much. Well, they've got plenty of leeway, right? They're the town, they can do what they want. But I mean, on the other hand, in terms of resources, perhaps not so much. And they want to get these benches in. And they have to follow various codes. On the other hand, it seems like nobody on this commission likes this proposal. Or, at all.
I think we'd like it if it were something like bricks on the pad and a wooden bench, then I think we'd like it.
That's grandfather's axe.
I don't
think
know.
we're struggling with the Victorian and the concrete.
So
I have a
brick,
huge pile of bricks on the side of my house that I'm looking to get rid of.
oh,
Oh, good.
another, all right, another
Donate to
donation.
the
Look at
town.
this. It's paying for itself.
Donation.
But are bricks even ADA compliant?
Yeah.
I don't know if they are.
No, there are. I mean, the brick
They're-
crosswalks.
Oh, yeah,
They're
all right.
better than the mulch. From what Public Works, because I was talking to them about the materials issue, because I was sort of like, well, you know, if I was able to get the granite, could they install it? And they said that the cost issue is about the manpower to install it. They said that, you know, that they had the granite on hand, but they said it was going to be so expensive to install it because of the base layer that they have to put in.
Right, for granite, yeah, which you don't have to do as much for brick. Did you talk about having bricks laid?
Basically, they said it was a non-starter. They're like,
So,
concrete.
so
We're
me
the
throw-
HPC, don't they know we love bricks? That's not a non-starter. Come on, guys.
you know, that whole area it's asphalt and concrete walks. So I personally, to force them to do brick, I think is personally, I think a bit much. Because it's not like they're in this exquisite landscape, and we're talking about a pad for a bench. So I would recommend we consider a pad for one concrete bench, new wood, and this is pending Mimi saying maybe this might work. You know, and having the ADA pad beside it, so it's a 9-foot by whatever 4-foot concrete pad that's, you know, beside an asphalt walk that's beside an asphalt drive. And put a wood. Personally, I think the wood bench would look much nicer than the ye olde Victorian one. Assuming the donor would be amenable to a beautiful, put the money into a beautiful teak bench that will withstand the test of time for 20. I mean, we have a teak bench that's been outside for 20 years and it's holding up great. So. It's not like it's going to fall apart in 10 years. So that's my suggestion is allow for the concrete pad, help Mimi get this thing done, and see if the commission is amenable to a wood bench, one wood bench, not stretch it out into this long thing.
And frankly, a wood bench on the concrete is going to be less overall an eye distraction than the Victorian bench on concrete. You can get away with the concrete if you have the wood bench. That's what I'm saying. I agree with that, Tim.
So the more Lutyens style, not Lutyens, what's that style of bench called that we approve for the, I can't remember.
Yeah, I know the one you mean. Yeah.
So what about that suggestion? Concrete pads as required.
So taking out the Victorian bench, replacing it with a concrete pad and one teak bench, and with recognizing that we want to have a space next to it for a wheelchair.
Right.
Yes. Because then that bench will, it won't be sunk into the mulch. You don't need the iron footing that's on the Victorian bench because it'll be, perched on.
It'll be bolted to the concrete.
Would there be enough, what if there were enough money for 2 of those?
Sure.
Is it because that would also be 2 concrete pads?
I think my sense is the objection to 2 benches is that's doubling the offense of the Victorian.
Is it doubling what?
It's doubling the offense of the Victorian bench.
Well, though it's not unreasonable for the visitor centered, however, to want more seats.
No, I understand, but as a commission, I think we're not in favor of the Victorian bench to start. So doing 2 Victorian benches is double.
That was doubling down, but
Yeah.
with the current idea of
Yeah, so it's
concrete
not the
pad.
2 benches that is a concern. It's the 2 Victorian benches that's a concern. I think two wood.
But I thought it was the
benches.
two paths.
I think it's also the two paths. I mean, I think one pad is more than enough.
I guess Tim's logic is
Concrete.
persuasive. It's an asphalt
Yes.
jungle there.
Yeah.
So, all right.
It ain't Beacon Hill.
I give up. I concede to
It's
Tim.
okay. So
I also do. I gave in. You won, Tim.
Yeah, I'm with Tim there.
so Mimi,
We're into concrete.
let's does the town require two benches?
So that
Or is it because there was going to be some money potentially and but
I'm trying to sort of recognize the meeting the multiple goals of folks wanting to preserve the original one, wanting a new one. And I also sort of thought a little bit about, it feels a little odd just having just this odd spot sticking out next to the bench. So having two of them with a space in between felt like it had some symmetry and just felt like it had a little bit of a balance to it. So that was part of my thinking.
would there be money for two non-Victorian benches on two concrete pads?
I think I could, there's some other funds I could access because I don't have fully enough for two benches and a pad, but I have enough for like a bench and a half because the teak benches are cheaper than the Victorian bench.
Right.
So I could squeeze that a little bit and the plaque is cheaper. Like there's a bunch of things that are cheaper on the teak benches that are it's easier to install. Like there's a bunch of cost savings on that way.
I agree with the two benches is, I think, more pleasing visually than one,
I
especially
do too.
the
Yeah,
pad
it's
with
fine.
with
And it's only one pad, just longer. That's
yeah.
all.
58.
I just want to front load Mimi with, trying to get our concessions as close to her mandate. So I know. Let's open this up to public comment before I ask Tim to make the motion. Is there anyone in the still left who would like to comment? Questions? It appears not. So do we think we're ready to make a motion on this? What I think would be helpful for the town is for us, in case they may not do this, but to provide potentially for them to be able to put two benches up in an extended pad.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
We're
Right,
not
does that
moving
make
that
sense?
they have to put two benches, right?
They don't have to.
Right.
Since
We have to frame it so that we prefer two benches. We're gonna. How are we framing this?
Up to two benches.
Up to two benches.
yeah, but just so there is that leeway. So it's
We approve the installation of concrete padding and wheelchair pad of a size sufficient to support two wood benches.
One or two wood benches.
Not to be fussy, but do we really want a big slab of concrete? I know all you guys love concrete, but do we want a big slab of concrete without a bench on it?
No.
Well, half a bench. There'll be half a bench.
Well, that's what you're saying. Put in the huge pad. Maybe we'll get two benches on it.
Build it and they will come.
build it and they will
I wouldn't advance a concrete pad without a bench.
Right. The pad is
Right,
sized
I like
for the
that.
number of benches.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, no, I mean the way
Tim, issue a concrete per bench quota, please.
we're not
all right.
mandating the pad that size. We're approving a potential pad that size for two benches.
We're allowing
All right.
for a pad that's
Mr. Whitney, did you take all that in and are you ready to make the
No,
motion?
I fell asleep there for a
Oh, you
second.
were wide awake, actually.
Okay, I move that we approve 58 and 7B Main Street as follows. We approve an all-wood teak bench, very similar to the bench styles that were installed as part of Concord 250. One or two benches with a concrete pad under one or both. Both options with a 3-foot wide handicap concrete pad. I'm getting too wordy here.
no.
But there'll be a pad under one.
They need a lot of
There'll
guidelines.
only be concrete under each bench. Does that make sense?
No, it was clear.
Yeah, as necessary.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I fell asleep. What was that?
Not surprised. It wasn't making sense.
I
I
second.
think
It was clear.
Mimi, does that sound okay to you?
That sounds great. I appreciate the problem solving with me for this and your flexibility. And I think it's everybody can be amenable, and I appreciate your thoughtfulness on this. Thank you.
Okay, so
Likewise,
we
thank
need
you.
a second. We think that covered everything. Who would like to second that?
I'll second Tim's proposal.
Thank you, Louis. And I'll go around for a vote. Kristen,
Aye.
Walter,
I
Tim,
I
Louis, did I ask you?
Aye.
Okay, and myself, I am an I. So thank you, Mimi, for your presentation and your patience, and thank you, commissioners, for all sort of chipping in and trying to get a grip on this. So we have something that we won't wince at when it comes back to us in a
When
few
it's
years.
all done, we're gonna go out there and all sit together and
Sit.
have coffee.
Sit and sit and sit. You bet.
And the end of bench
Meaning
two.
of martini.
It's a nice
Okay,
little
so
spot.
that's it.
Thank you.
All right,
Well,
thanks a
good
lot.
night.
Thanks. And because we did other business first, we are done.
We need to do a continuance on the garage.
Oh, yeah,
Well, back.
we need to vote on that. Okay. Let's just stick with the original movers and seconders on that. Was that you who made that motion, Tim?
I don't think we made a, I don't
For
think we made a
for
motion on the,
363, you made a motion for
We made
three,
a motion to
for the
vote.
windows.
for the first part, but not for the, we
She's
approved the
just
first
saying
part.
she wants the same person to do the motion,
Oh, okay.
second chunk.
For a
I am
continuance.
tired, Kate. I can't handle
I'm really
this.
sorry, Tim. I made you work really hard last
No,
half
no,
hour.
you're the one who came from England. I move that we have a continuance for partial part of the project on 360 Main Street, specifically the adding the carport to the next meeting.
And who seconded that one, 363, just for good order's sake?
I'll second it.
Did you do that before? Guess it doesn't matter. Okay, and I'll go around for a vote. Louis,
Aye.
Walter,
Aye.
Tim,
I
Kristen,
Aye.
and I'm an I for continuing the carport of 363 Main to the next meeting. And that is it. Our next meeting isn't, wait a minute. Our next meeting can't be on Christmas Eve.
No, I looked at the calendar and Christmas Eve would be the 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow, I was just wondering what I was gonna do Christmas Eve. Okay, now I know. Hey, guess what,
Tim
kids?
send an email about the next.
It did. I think it's Wednesday the 14th of January, I think.
Oh, we
There
got
was
an
an
email.
email.
Yeah.
Kim
Yeah,
sent
maybe
got an
something.
email for
Kim-
26.
Yep, it's
Yeah.
it's January 14th. I think I sent all of you
Yes.
the
Oh,
new
did.
schedules. Yes.
You did. You sent a schedule.
Um,
So this is actually my last meeting.
and
Oh, no.
Melinda's too, and she's
Oh.
not even here. You sure it's your last meeting? Don't you have to come back for one in January?
No, I think January 1, Ann. Isn't that true?
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Well,
thought
it
it was-
doesn't have to
No,
be
we
your
have to
last
vote you
meeting.
out.
Come as a public citizen.
So,
You know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to look at the agenda and I'm going to come in and be a pain in the ass.
well, hey,
And
isn't
I don't have
there?
to vote on it or anything. It's even better.
You need to stay on as a Windows specialist.
I know,
or
exactly.
just, essentially the
You're
backbone
threatening
of the
to,
group.
yeah, you're threatening to bother us. I'm gonna be bothering you.
Kate,
Yes,
is there not precedent for members to continue their service if
There
their
absolutely
positions have
is.
not been filled?
the good doctor is our most recent example.
Yes.
He's still a member
Dennis-
as far as I know.
Dennis
Right.
can be our next one. Wow, no, I thought you came back. Well, the last time you came off the board, Dennis, I brought champagne for everybody to the meeting. That meant we used to meet in public. And also I didn't realize I couldn't bring alcohol to town meetings, which I found out
That's
the
right.
next day. But
We could meet at the bench outside the.
Just outside, yeah.
there's only gonna be one though,
Imagine
so
the stove
for all
up
those who
top
didn't
of-
want two benches, you're out of luck.
Anyway,
Are you really? Is this your last one?
I think so. It's in, and it is my last one, isn't
I
it?
think so.
Yeah,
Now that you mention it.
yeah, it is.
Oh my
Unless
gosh.
they're meeting on Christmas Eve, it is the last one.
Wow. Oh,
Anyway, you,
moment of
I'm not
silence.
going away. Don't worry.
It's time for an HTC Christmas party.
Where we can't
Holiday
talk about
party.
anything.
Just stare at each other.
I'll be running around telling you guys like, don't talk about that. So,
All right. Good night.
all right.
Night. We'll see ya.
Motion to adjourn.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night. Goodbye,
Good
Denny.
night.